Boston sports. And it is all we do. 98.5, the Sports Hub. In this town, sports happens 24/7. We're Boston's home for sports. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Check swing, and he went. Home plate umpire's going to ring him up. That is strike three in the end of the inning.
Got to check that.
And Story is livid. It was the home plate ump, Buckner, who rings him up.
You got to check that.
And Trevor Story just does not lose it like this.
And Core's saying the same thing. Hey, when umpires try to call a pitch and a swing, just check it. That's why the guy's down there. You don't have to do everything, CB.
He has one job to do, is call balls and strikes, and it wasn't his best day, and that's what the system does. It is out there. Everybody sees it, and he'll be the first one to accept it. I saw him putting his head down after one of the challenges, and we're all human. It's not easy what we do and what he does, and at that point, Trevor is playing short. Like I always said, the last time I made an error was in 2011. I got a hit. It was 2011. I got a job to do in the dugout, and at that moment, it was to protect Trevor.
Did he give you an explanation for why he didn't feel it?
No, I mean, he saw it as a swing, and he called it.
All right, welcome in, Mark Dondero, 98.5, the Sports Hub. That was the scene yesterday during the Red Sox game. We're not going to talk a lot of Red Sox baseball right this second. But I just have a comment on the ABS system. Okay. That's not working. The ABS system itself works, but let's not kid ourselves here, please. Let's be logical about this whole situation. The umps can't be calling balls and strikes anymore. And I'm not even going to get on CB Buckner. Okay? I don't know if this man, I didn't feel like doing a deep dive on the history of CB Buckner and how good he is as an actual umpire. He doesn't appear to be that good. But I don't even care about that. Okay? That was a disaster yesterday. You can't mess around with that type of crap. That's a disaster. Okay? I can't have these guys hitting their head, touching their head, 2 pitches in a row. Let's stop it. We're going to No. The flow, the optics, the premise, all of it is just, it's wrong. It's bad. You have to have this machine, this technology, call balls and strikes immediately. Okay? Immediately implement that practice right now. Because umps calling the balls and strikes and then getting overruled by the technology is it's a ridiculous and horrendous look for everybody involved. The ump, the batter, the crowd, the league, America, everybody. End it now. Next week. Have a meeting tonight, end it next week. This can't go on. And there's a whole strategy to it, and I haven't even considered the entirety of what type of strategy you'll need going forward. And I don't think it should be a part of the game, honestly. There's enough strategy to baseball. Part of that strategy shouldn't be, okay, which batter in my lineup can utilize the ABS system and at what time in the game. It's just not necessary. Okay? Make it an automatic call via the technology. Have the ump behind the plate listening to a buzzer or some audio indicator that says whether it's a ball or a strike, make the call and have the ump back there to kind of, see that the game is moving along, I guess. I would actually, if it were up to me, I know you can't do this because there's plays at the plate. It's too bad they can't find a way to get fan involvement with this or be creative. If the technology's calling balls and strikes, have somebody else involved that can kind of just be watching along. That's probably ridiculous. I'm just saying it's too bad there's not a more creative way they can put this into practice, but you need the ump back there. If there's a play at the plate, I'm sure there's other things that they're going to have to evaluate, a catch or some interference or something like that, where the ump would have to make the call. It can't be the technology. But you can't do this. You cannot have this where this guy, a player, is challenging the ump on consecutive pitches. He's slowing down the game. I know it doesn't take that long. It still looks weird. The ump looks bad when he doesn't make the right call. He's getting overturned. It's just a disaster. You can't do this.
Not a fan of the ABS system exposing bad umpires?
I'm a fan of the system. Like if we have the capability to have that type of technology, let's go. Fine. Put it out there and let it call the pitches, and let's move things along, and we know that's a strike. There's no arguing. There's no gray area. It's a ball or a strike. But you can't have the umps out there calling it, then getting overturned, then having it happen the next pitch. I mean, that's madness.
You started to feel bad for CB Buckner.
It wasn't even that I feel bad for him. I think the guy's a terrible umpire.
Before this year, yes.
Yeah, I didn't feel bad for him. The whole thing was madness, I thought. And I don't like madness. Yeah, clean it up.
That Suarez at bat, I thought was pretty telling.
Do we have the audio of the Suarez at bat?
Yeah, let's toss it right here. Let's see how it goes, and then we'll discuss.
Let's listen. How does it sound?
Here comes the 1-2, and in there, struck him out. Now they're going to challenge this.
Wait.
Batter's challenging the pitch.
Head down. Let's see.
It is a ball, but barely.
Okay, so he wins the challenge. Good. Let's go to the next pitch.
Not missing by much.
No.
It's one of the things talk about the ABS challenge. You might have to figure out these umpires pretty good. 0.3 of an inch.
So 2-2. ABS powered by T-Mobile. He'll try again. And that's it.
He got it again.
He's going to challenge that one as well.
I love
another challenge at home plate.
They still only feel both times. That second one was even worse.
Let us see. That's a ball.
So
ABS powered by T-Mobile.
It's an inch off.
Okay, so listen. That's madness. All right, get it out. We can't be doing this.
It was excitement. It was juice. It brought now. The Red Sox, I think, botched the crap out of their challenges, and I was listening on the way home, and our local radio network was not fans of the home plate umpire, and rightfully so. And when I got home, it was a different story. But the challenging it within the first couple of innings, I mean, we got to kind of lecture the team and kind of school them on this challenge system. We're going to have two of them. We're going to be able to uphold our challenges if we're successful. We got to be sure that we're going to go ahead and contradict the umpire. And then I thought it led to CB Buckner going crazy on the Red Sox and then going ahead and being very spiteful. And then it led him to being his own umpire and calling check swing strike threes on Trevor Story on obvious calls where he definitely needed the help. He didn't cross the plate. I mean, if you're confused about a check swing, for people who play baseball, and Dondero, you can attest, you have to break the wrists, okay? And obviously, he didn't cross the plate with the bat. He didn't break the wrists over that 180-degree plane. It was a check swing. So you got to call for help. That's George, what you have the first base umpire for. And go ahead,
look, we all know that unless it's egregiously across the plate, you ask for help. Correct. Even if it's just you think he crossed, just ask for the help.
I think he had a hair.
That's the best practice.
He had a hair across his ass for the first couple of innings with Narvaez and Anthony and stuff with the challenges.
You can't be doing that, okay? That wasn't even close to being beyond reasonable. That was not obvious. Get the help and just best practice. Right. Ask for help. If he confirms what you think, good.
And I don't think Story blows up if the first pitch.
No, of course not. He's probably still going to be upset. But at least you went through the proper channels to make sure you, air quotes, got that call right. You can't just do that. Look.
It was entertaining.
I'm not what. First of all, we kind of have an image of the strike zone up on the screen. Yeah. So I don't think the drama is really that captivating from a viewer's perspective. And I'm also not trying to see players versus umps. It doesn't interest me. I don't really care. I want to see the game play out. I don't think that little mini drama is something I'm interested in.
To that point, I think it's unavoidable. Anytime you're challenging, you are showing up the umpire. Whether you're taking off your straps and going and walking ahead of time or waiting there to be affirmed that the strike is overturned into a ball. It is every time exposing these umpires, and you are being disrespectful and challenging this. No matter what, I understand the Chris Sale approach where, I'll leave it up to the catcher. I don't even want to go ahead and challenge these things. You might go on emotion the way Roman Anthony did, and then you blow your challenges. That was my gripe with the ABS system, and hopefully a learning lesson for the Red Sox. You got to be able to save these in your back pocket. A lot of the challenges that you have in the NBA, make sure it's a sure thing. That way you can keep it for the crunch time. You don't want to lose these things early on, challenging it on emotion. And trying to prolong the account here, the at bat, and then for not. You still get punched out, and then now you lose your challenge. And then later in the game, especially with an erratic umpire, the way CB Buckner strike zone is all over the place, you want to be sure of these things. He's going to miss some calls by a couple inches, as evidenced by the Eugenio Suarez at bat. And I just thought it was comical on back-to-back pitches. He was there ready to punch him out.
Yeah,
the Red Sox defense stayed on the field, though, to their credit. They knew that, okay, those were iffy, probably over the edge borderline to be a ball, but they are showing up, the umpires. I did feel bad, the way Joe Murray did for CB Buckner. It did get to be kind of like, okay, what are we doing here? But it was entertaining. It was more entertaining to see that Watson got out of the inning, though, to be sure.
Yeah, and look, were they balls? Did he get overruled on consecutive pitches? Yeah, he did. But for a million years, and again, I'm not trying to defend CB Buckner. I don't know if he's a good umpire or not. I haven't looked into his past, in depth. I'm just saying those pitches, yeah, technically they weren't in the zone. The technology said they weren't in the zone. Those could have been strikes.
I agree. The first one especially.
Both of them, by the way, too close to take with 2 strikes.
Right.
Protect the plate.
And now you're going to be more apoplectic to take these pitches now if you're the David Ortiz or Roman Anthony's, because you feel like you have that defined strike.
That is baseball, baby. Like that, you can't take that pitch in that spot. And if I'm a manager, if my guy takes that pitch, I just keep my mouth shut. Now, maybe it was a ball. Technically, it was a ball. But especially if you're not talking about high-low, you got to protect the plate. Protect the plate.
And that's why I would never take the home plate umpire out of it, to be sure, though. I know it's kind of an all-or-nothing thing with you, and I understand that point. What are we doing? We're exposing these umpires. We might as well just get the thing right 100% of the time without any gripes.
Yes.
But I do like that CB Buckner got the opportunity to be spiteful against the Red Sox for them calling him out, and then when you are wrong twice, and you're trying to show him up, with these challenges within the first 3 innings, you're going to go ahead, and I'm going to be a little liberal with my strike zone for the Cincinnati pitching staff.
Yeah, I'm not for it. I like the technology. I think it could be a way to move the game along, eliminate a gray area. I don't really care about the nuance of calling balls and strikes. Like, that's something I could do without. As long as everybody's on the same page. The challenge is just ridiculous. I think it's madness, and I don't like it. I don't want the umps put in that position. I'm not an umpire defender. I just thought it was silly.
And we're learning a lot about the players, too, and I'm a little bit skeptical of Carlos Narvaez's gauge of the strike zone, and he's our catcher. So, we're going to learn the players who have the definitive grasp of the strike zone, and then who do you want to challenge, who you do not want to see ever challenge, and hopefully they're coaching that out of the Red Sox because, you want definitive calls to be overturned, not these borderline calls. I understand the Suarez, they had them in the back pocket, so you might as well go ahead and challenge these things.
Yeah.
That second one was clearly way outside, but the one that went inside and was at the knees, that, they challenged it because they had them, and the Red Sox did not have the opportunity in the later half of the game. Could have cost them. Obviously, they did tie it later on, but they 1-1 after 2 games.
Yeah. So try to win a series. You're on the road. If you can win the series today, that'd be a great start to the season. We'll see. It feels like there's an opportunity there for baseball. I don't think it's going to hurt the game.
Yeah, it's very streamlined when they do challenge as well.
But if you just had that technology and the ump had an audio indicator of it was a ball or a strike, and he just gives you the signal,
Okay.
And if there was a strike 3, you punch him out, and there's no argument, and that's that. I just feel like that'd be a lot easier, a lot better, a lot more economical. And the ump, if the technology fails, he could be ready with the ballers. I mean, you can't fall asleep back there.
That's right.
So you got to have an idea of what the pitch is, so you got to pay attention, but you're going to get the help through the audio indicator.
Yeah, and I didn't have a problem with CB Buckner personally. It really was just that Trevor Story check swing. You got to ask for help.
You got to ask for help.
Yeah, he had the hair across his ass for the Red Sox last night.
Well, I mean, if it's going to eliminate egregious calls, I mean, if the call is egregious, then the ump should be shamed. But I mean, and look,
he was feeling it.
People are saying he should be suspended.
Six overturned in the game. That's pretty rough.
No. Yeah, it's rough. But again, you've probably been calling balls and strikes your entire career a certain way. If that's kind of what you did,
you're gonna have to learn.
People would get to know your strike zone as long as you're consistent.
Correct.
Players don't have a problem, and then you go from there. But I mean, those were not egregious misses. I didn't see all 6 of them, but the ones that he missed on Suarez, like, not egregious.
Yeah, I would say so. I would agree too. It's particularly that first one. That it maintained the strike zone at like 70% of the way, and then dipped
0.3% away from the strike. Like,
Right.
It's close. You could swing the bat. So that's kind of my take. Not kind of. That is my take on the ABS. Just let the technology do it in full. Have the umps there to figure it out and guide you along. But the technology calls balls and strikes full time.
One last point on it. The contrasting styles for the Red Sox, too. In Game 1, Roman Anthony he prolonged the at-bat. Ended up getting some insurance there with 2 more runs in the 9th inning. And then in Game 2, obviously, they wasted it within the first 3 innings. And then you could have had at least a half dozen challenges to overturn balls and strikes for the Red Sox. So definitely you want to be a learning lesson, want to be confident that you're going to go ahead and overturn strikes in the balls.
You know what's a little disappointing? Just while we're on it, before we go to break, and I'm not going to lie, I maybe it's a little unrealistic. But obviously, there was a big home run in the 9th inning, okay? And when the ball cleared the fence, I waited to see kind of what transpired from there, if that makes any sense. And it was just a little disappointing for me to kind of realize in the moment what was happening. Okay, you see the ball go over the wall. It was a bomb. It ties the game. Wilyer Abreu he's rounding the bases. And I just happen to feel the lack of, I don't know what the word is, emotion. I guess what I'm trying to say is it didn't match the WBC. And I'm just thinking to myself, if every time, and maybe there's just too many games, but imagine if you had that level of energy every game in Major League Baseball, it would be a different product. And there just wasn't any. And that was a game-tying home run in the 9th.
I commend you for at least trying to visualize the replays of that. I was caught up in my own emotion. I scared the crap out of my son, who's here with me today as the associate producer, helping me out.
Thanks, bud.
He told me, "Oh, Dad, you scared me," and then I scared my stepdaughter as well in the other room as I had shouted. Now I try not to be as emotional, but I was into it. I was very happy that they tied the game with 2 outs in the 9th. I don't give a crap if there was emotion on the team or not. I would like to imagine there is, but to be fair, I was caught up in my own emotion, so I was not paying attention to any replays and studying the dugout there.
Look, and I get it. 162 games, never too high, never too low. You can't do it. But he did nothing. He rounded the bases.
Yeah,
I barely fist pumped.
Well, the result is what you want.
It is.
Yes.
It is. But I enjoy all that emotion in the WBC.
It's in them though, right? Yeah. So you're comparing it to a great moment.
I was thinking of it. That's all. And
I'm going to take you at your word, too, because now I'm going to go back and watch that replay, and I'm going to study everybody in the dugout and Wilyer Abreu himself, and I'm going to look at that.
And I get it. It's a tournament. There's not that many games. Every at-bat's a little bit bigger because, you're representing your country, all those things. If you wanted to bring some of that WBC flavor to Major League Baseball, that's a perfect opportunity to do it. We saw it with Ceddanne Rafaela last year, and a couple of the big walk-offs he hit. He went kind of crazy. It was awesome. He wasn't at home. The crowd's not going to be as electric, but I just noticed that.
Yeah, I noticed the pitcher's reaction was in shock.
617-779-0985. So we wanted to get to. There's a few things I thought of today. There was that top 10 Boston athletes list that came out. I just wanted to touch on that. And there was also something I thought of that I've never discussed, and I haven't heard many people discuss it. So I'm sure it's been discussed, but not by me. Who is the best first-round pick in Patriots history? And honestly, George, I don't have an answer right now. So if anybody wants to chime in on that, I'm more than open to your perspective on that question because I am absolutely torn over what I should conclude as the answer. Who is the best first-round pick in the history of the New England Patriots? A lot of good ones, a lot of important ones, but which pick was the best? And we're going to get into that because it's an interesting discussion based on the players and the different factors when trying to evaluate that question. 617-779-0985. Mark Dondero, 98.5, The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5, The Sports. .
98.5 The Sports.
in sports. We're fans just like you. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Here, 98.5 The Sports Up. Interesting list that came out. One that we have discussed in the past. Top 10 Boston athletes of all time. A lot of the names on the list, obviously predictable. The one I'm throwing out today, though, is who is the best first-round pick in Patriots history? I think it's an interesting discussion. There's not an easy, obvious answer. And I think, honestly, the first thing you have to do in this exercise is narrow it down into a pool of players that would be or should be considered. Let's go to the phones and start, I guess, considering players. Pete's in the car. Hey, Pete.
Hey, guys. How are we doing this afternoon?
What's up, man?
Hey, I got two guys, but ultimately one. The two I would say are the most considerate of it are Drew Bledsoe. I mean, he was the franchise. He literally was. We were terrible. I bought my season tickets the year before knowing that we were going to be terrible so that we would either get him or Meyer as the number one pick. And then you saw what he did. That's the reason that we have Gillette Stadium was because Drew Bledsoe. But ultimately, the most successful first-round pick, in my opinion at least, is Ty Law. He was a true shutdown corner. He picked off Peyton Manning 3 times in an AFC title game. He's a Hall of Famer, too, out of all the Patriots. He's finally, I mean, I know Tom Brady's obviously going to be a Hall of Famer, but Ty Law, I believe, is the first one out of that group that's been
Correct.
inducted. So for me, it'd be Ty Law out of the first-round picks.
All right, thanks, Pete. And I got to say this. At first blush, George, that was my name.
I told the caller, too. I was like, yeah, that's the first name.
And I admittedly have to think of it more. That was the first name that I thought of. Now, I'm biased because I love Ty Law. The postseason production, all the moments that he offered, the fact that he spanned the Parcells through the Belichick era. He was the one that sort of was at the foundation of the building of the dynasty, then at the foundation of the dynasty when it was actually a dynasty. And they were winning Super Bowls. He did it all. When you factor, you got to remember, though, this also has to be considered. You have to factor in where in the first round they were selected. Because you could talk about best first round pick, but I think it does matter if you were picked 1 or 2 or 3 versus 23 or 25 or 27.
Right, was taken, right?
I'll tell you what, Joey Murray texted me just now, and I'm surprised. Some of the names he just rattled off surprised me. Okay? The first group of names he gave me, Richard Seymour, Logan Mankins, Chandler Jones, amongst others.
Excellent. Mankins is one.
See, I did not have Mankins or Jones even on my radar.
Oh, and especially when you bring up what end of the first round as well, on the back end side, I would say Mankins is definitely up there for sure.
So I'm going to get, okay, that's fine. See, I would have John Hanna up there before Logan Mankins.
Right. He was probably the second or third name out of your mouth, right?
See, here, I'm going to admit something right now. Okay? I am biased to postseason production. For better or worse, I'm biased.
Yeah,
okay?
Taylor to our generation.
If you I have not nearly the amount of appreciation for Wes Welker as I should have, admittedly, mainly because of the things he did in the postseason, and that's not fair at all, but I'm admitting it. I have probably an over-appreciation for Julian Edelman. I think he should be a Hall of Famer. Fair or not, that's the way I feel because of the postseason production.
I agree. I would say McGinnis as well, speaking of
so
first-rounders.
So McGinnis, I'm biased. Obviously, Ty Law, I'm biased because of, not because I was a huge fan, but because of what he did. McGinnis, again, Logan Mankins.
I would say so, yeah. Deservedly so. Now, he was in that era where
05 to 14, they won Bupkis when he was here. So that's gonna hurt Logan Mankins for me.
He counts. So what about Dante Hightower, somebody they were mentioning last show?
That's a guy that gets on my radar. Okay,
what he did there.
He's somebody that would be on that list, Joe. You have to consider.
Big time.
So Law, you have to consider. Hightower, for me, you have to consider. Let's go to Matt and Bill Ricker. Hey, Matt.
Hey, I was going to throw out Vince Wilfork. Maybe not the best player they drafted in the first round, but when you talk about who had the biggest impact on those defenses during the dynasty, it was Vince Wilfork, just blocking up the middle. You couldn't run on that team. Yeah. And he completely transformed the defense after he was drafted.
That's a great pick.
21 overall.
Well, let me just tell you this. This is the case for Vince Wilfork, George. Because we're talking about the best first-round pick. Doesn't have to be the best player. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't have to be. It's based on where you were in the draft.
Yeah, when I was telling you positionally, I would say Vince Wilfork.
You talk about, so Vince Wilfork absolutely should be considered, and here's why. Here's why. Not just because of the production, which was great. We all know he was a great Patriot, and he'll probably be. Is he in the Patriots Hall of Fame? Or he'll be going in. He's going to go in.
Right? Didn't he bookend Super Bowls as well?
That's right. But hold on. The reason that could be one of the best first-round picks they've ever made, you just won 2 of 3 Super Bowls, like 2 of the last 3 Super Bowls. You get a pick in the 20s,
right?
And you pick that guy coming off of 2 of 3 Super Bowls.
They were hitting home
What
runs.
A pick with the roster that you already had to get that guy at that spot. I remember when they did it. It was Chris Mortensen or somebody. The rich get richer. That was his line. That was a great pick for that team. In that you're trying to replace Ted Washington. You get this kid out of Miami. You've won the Super Bowl. You're loaded to get a guy like that could come in, step in, play at that level. Great first-round pick. Great first-round pick. Alex and Lynn wants to chime in. Alex, what's up?
Hey, guys. How we doing today?
Good. How you doing?
Good. All right. I'll give you my guy. I think it's pretty easy when you think about this man's resume. It's Ty Law. It's always been Ty Law. 5-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, Hall of Fame corner, 53 career total picks, 9 pick sixes. This guy had a rule changed after how much he horrified Peyton Manning in his early years. It's always been Ty effing Law. He is him.
Well said. He's the favorite in the clubhouse right now. What was he, 7th overall?
Yeah, he was top 10. Let me give it you.
Here's the only
Ty Law was 23rd.
Ty Law was what?
23rd overall.
23rd overall?
Yeah, 23rd.
Oh, I'm thinking if Terry Glenn was 7th
Terry Glenn
overall.
was 7th overall.
23rd. Year, yes. Okay, so there's another one for Ty Law. Late first round. But here's the only thing, and I'm not trying to push back hard on Ty Law. I'm just going to say this because it's facts.
I love him.
They did win that last Super Bowl without his services. You know what I'm saying? That he was injured. He had a foot injury. He wasn't there that whole last playoff run, 04, 05, the 05. It was the 04 playoffs, but in January of 05.
It was just still great, his post-Patriots career, though, with Jets. Chiefs.
It was.
So great. So it's hard to dispute the Ty Law.
He was a Manning killer. He did it in the Super Bowl.
Biggest moments. Yeah.
He was nails even before, during the Pete Carroll era. He was really good.
Underappreciated for the time, too, for being one of the top corners perennially in the AFC.
Underappreciated. He was not on the level of Woodson or Champ Bailey, and certainly not Deion Sanders. But he was just as
appreciation-wise, but I would say he's definitely that level. One that's not been mentioned, and especially on the back end, Devin McCourty, 27th pick. He's one that just panned out. I know he came in the league as a cornerback. He went to the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
It obviously shifted him to the safety. I think it worked out. I think he's one of the better Patriots, and if we just split it to the back end of the first half, he's definitely one of the top ones.
There's one name we haven't mentioned that has to be mentioned, and we're going to mention it when we get back. We'll get into that because he's the one that's standing right beside Ty Law, in my estimation. We'll get to that. Mark Dondero, 98.5, The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports, 98.5, The Sports. Patriots, the Sox, the Revs, and you. We're Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
So, Mark Dondero, we're talking about a little draft talk. What was the best first-round pick in Patriots history? And I don't want to misrepresent Joey Murray. Joe just clarified his initial text, George, was just about the Belichick era. I think he just went Belichick era to start. And then when he expanded, he mentioned the name that I alluded to, that I teased before the break, and that name is Drew Bledsoe. Drew Bledsoe, I think, is the one that stands next to Ty Law.
First name out of my mouth.
When you talk about the magnitude, living up to the expectations, obviously, he wasn't the starting quarterback in a Super Bowl that, won the Super Bowl. They went to Super Bowl 31. But he turned the franchise around. He helped build the foundation of what became the dynasty, the Parcells era, all the way into the Belichick era. And this needs to be mentioned because I thought it was the best thing that came out of that Apple doc or whatever that was a couple of years ago, when Teddy Bruschi outlined how his selflessness in the midst of the whole Brady taking over, getting benched, all of those things that happened to Drew Bledsoe in that 2001 season, it was Bledsoe's selflessness that started the Patriot way. And I believe that to my core. Teddy Bruschi outlined that during the documentary. I thought it was the best point, maybe the best point I've ever heard made in any Patriots documentary.
Because he could have derailed that whole thing.
They don't win the Super Bowl without Drew Bledsoe's contribution.
They had just given Bledsoe a 10-year contract heading into the season, so it's just like it's hard to explain Belichick going and benching him at the expense of Brady because he had won a handful of games and they looked like they were on the up and up. It's really unprecedented what that whole 2001 season, the way that played out. I, to my grave, will fully believe that Bledsoe would have won the Super Bowl if he had started it. And then who knows what would have become of Brady, after the fact. And that offseason might have been a little different, obviously. I don't need to compare them, 1-to-1. Obviously, Brady had the better career, and ultimately the Patriots made the right choice between the two quarterbacks. But for that season, I would say that Bledsoe, he would have beaten the Rams. I just, in my core of core, my heart of hearts, I would go that way. He's the one who led us to the Super Bowl.
Bless you. But I'm not doing that. I'm not going there. I don't know if that's... I'm not going to discount it, but I can't sit here and watch what Brady did on that final drive and been like, hey, yeah, Drew Bledsoe could have done the same thing in that type of pressure.
Oh, with a straight face, I tell you. But
maybe he could have.
We were on the verge of blowing them out if it wasn't for that phantom holding call away from the play, McGinnis on Falk. So the Tabucky Jones fumble, scoop and score, we were on the verge of blowing them out, but... Obviously, then the Rams coming back. I'm not gonna.
I'm not down talking Drew Bledsoe right now. I don't know if that would have been the case, but that's fine. He did come into the game in the AFC Championship, had a huge moment in that game, guided the Patriots to the win in that game. I'm giving him credit there. But when you talk about everything he did, the comebacks, dating back to the Pete Carroll era when he was playing with the broken finger and leading them into the playoffs, and the stats he put up, and he had a good team around him, don't get me wrong, but when you put all those things in front of you and then you talk about him being at the foundation of what became the Patriot way in that dynasty.
That's right.
Damn, that's a real big contribution to the organization. Right. And I understand he was the first overall pick or whatever it was. Was he the first overall pick?
He was first overall pick. He was not a bust.
No, not even a bust. Not even close to being a bust.
He lived up to that franchise quarterback.
Took the team to a Super Bowl and helped them win the Super Bowl that they did win. And, I'm still trying to go over it. I think other people that need to be considered. We have Law, we have Bledsoe. You have to consider Dante Hightower just because of where the defense was. When you factor in how he helped turn around what that defense had become between 2009 and 2012, 11, 12, not very good. They'd really dropped off. Hightower turned it around, and then you factor in the plays he made in the biggest moments. You have to do him the respect of putting him in the conversation. So I think Will Fork should be in the conversation just based on where he was picked, based on where Hightower was picked, and what they needed at that time. You put him in the conversation just because of his greatness. You could put John Hanna in the conversation. I don't know if I put Willie McGinnis in the conversation,
Mr.
George.
January.
I know.
NFL record, playoff sacks. I'm going there. I am going there.
Does he have the record for playoff sacks?
Well,
he did for a while.
I want to say he did. I'm looking at something that says Harvey Martin, so let me go ahead and click on that. But I wanted to say he did, but those 16 postseason sacks.
Well, I'll tell you this: he was one of
worthy.
the couple of Manning killers they had, along with Ty Law.
That goal line stand, Edgerrin James too, but he had a knack for, against the Colts.
He had a knack against the Colts, something that they lost when he left in 2005.
Yes, and good for you to bring up that point. He also had a post-Patriots playing career there with the Browns. I thought that he was he had something more left in the tank.
I'm not going with Irving Fryer.
Long career though, but he just not enough for the Patriots.
Another name that you have to, I think, has to be in the discussion: Richard Seymour. Okay, I don't know how important he was. My guess, George, is that he was pretty damn important to that defense in 01 and beyond. And they draft him at 6 overall. Everybody in that spot, I remember, they thought the Patriots were going to take David Terrell out of Michigan or a wide receiver. They go with Seymour, Hall of Famer, huge rookie season, helps them win the Super Bowl. 3 of the 4 Super Bowls he's on that team. Or I'm sorry, they win the Super Bowl in 3 of the first 4 years he's in the league. How do you not put a Hall of Famer, a direct contributor to the Super Bowl championships? How do you not consider him? I consider him. He's the guy that's on the list.
For clarification on the postseason sacks, Willie McGinnis, technically the 16.0 sacks is the most. Bruce Smith being second with 14.5. Sacks apparently before 82 were not an official stat. And then that's why they have this weird 17.3 in Pro Football Reference for Harvey Martin, who had a career primarily in the 70s.
Guys, I will not put on the list. Chandler Jones, I will not put on the list. Devin McCourty. As much as I respect Devin McCourty, I'm not putting him on the list. He was a corner. He got moved to safety. Ended up having a very nice career at safety. Not enough plays. A solid leader and team guy, all that. Not on the list for best first-round pick of all time. I wouldn't even consider him.
What about Nate Solder?
No, not on the list.
He did.
Nope.
He did win with them.
He's not on the list.
Well, and this is how
there's one other name that's on the list. Drake May. He's on the list. Now, do I think he's there yet? No. I'll leave the door. He's not on the list. But he could get on the list one day if he sticks around and if he continues to do what he did in the Super Bowl, but that's Christian Gonzalez. He's not on the... I think Drake May is already on the list that you have to consider. Leading the team to the Super Bowl, doing what he did in the post-Brady era, but not just the post-Brady era, the post-garbage quarterback era. Bailey Zappi, Mac Jones, Cam Newton, Jacoby Brissett. Him doing what he did, taking the team from where they were at the end of Belichick to where they are now in the year with Gerard Mayo to where they are now, put him on the list. He could be considered as the best first-round pick of all time for the Patriots.
You just made the list!
He wouldn't be my choice right now, but I think I need to do him the respect of putting him on the list right now. Okay? So on the list for consideration, May, Bledsoe, Law, Will Fork, okay?
Big Mac.
Seymour. I'll put him on for you. We'll say McGinnis. There's one other guy I wanted to ask you about, and we'll do that when we get back. There's one other guy I'm not going to put him on right this second. I'm going to ask you about him. We're going to get to the top 10 list and a Celtics thought. That's all coming up. Mark Dondero, 98.5, The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5, The Sports Hub.
Sports Up, Mark Dondero, 617-779-0985. There's one more name I want to throw out there, but first let's go to the calls. Tim's in Worcester. Hey, Tim.
Hey, guys. I just think it's obvious. John Hannah.
I mean, you can't. It's hard to argue with John Hannah. The problem with John Hannah, Tim, is did he win enough based on some of the other guys that contributed to the championships?
So I got to be honest. I'm not old enough to even have seen the guy play, but the way people talk about him, possibly the best offensive lineman of all time is what a lot of people rep for him. So
can't argue with that. Thanks for
yeah.
Good perspective. He might be the best offensive lineman of all time. All-decade team. I'm too young to remember this guy, too. All-decade team in the 70s and 80s. 70, 50. I mean, he is on every team that you could ever be on. He was the 4th overall pick. Certainly lived up to that. But he was a guard and didn't win anything. Not his fault. But, yeah, that guy was awesome. So, I mean, you could put him on the list of guys that should be considered. Did I not have him on that list?
Yeah,
No,
I did tell the caller to his point. That was probably the second or third name out of your mouth. And then you mentioned the whole winning disparity.
Well, he's just so decorated. You have to consider him. I mean, ridiculous decoration to his resume. The last name I wanted to bring up was Terry Glenn. And not so much is he the most, should he be considered? Should he be part of the conversation?
Absolutely, I would say.
You think so?
Positionally, to go the Vince Wilfork route as well, definitely amongst the top wide receivers during his heyday, especially his Patriot years, and then just wide receivers overall in terms of Patriots hit percentage, which is zilch. Definitely probably the best Patriots wide receiver draft pick. I mean, the Irvin Fryer one is debatable. He did have the longevity in his career, but the whole second half of his career was just a journeyman outside of the Patriots. So, the Eagles, Dolphins, all that. So
I'm not convinced that they make the Super Bowl in 1996 without Terry Glenn.
It's a superstar and a stud.
Yeah, he was so good with Bledsoe. He was what they needed. He was the perfect. I think he helped elevate the guys around him, the Sean Jefferson
Ben
and
Coates.
Ben Coates, obviously, and he helped Curtis Martin, I think, in that time. See, I'm, again, biased because I loved him. He exploded onto the scene so intensely, brought them to the Super Bowl, made that huge diving catch in the Super Bowl. I mean,
iconic.
To me, it was like they weren't going to get there without him. He was the missing piece. That's what it feels like to a guy like me. And then you go from there. Then they got to that Super Bowl, and they were never bad again until Belichick left, really. So it's like, is Terry Glenn the guy that really started it all? So if you want to put him in the conversation, I'll do that. He's not the answer. But for crying out loud, I'll put him in the conversation.
Bledsoe, Parcells, and the byproduct of good drafts, the 94, 95, and 96 stick out to me.
Man, that's how you build it right there. What they did between 94 and 96.
And this is what we were hoping for this iteration of the Patriots, and it kind of accelerated because they actually made the Super Bowl. I thought they needed another draft class or two to get to the kind of that level, and we'll see how they do with a much harder schedule coming up in 26.
I'll throw one other name out there. I don't think it. What about Damian Woody?
Ooh,
should be. I mean, a center. That's a key spot. He comes in. He ends up being the center on a team that wins a couple championships.
Yeah, before he was out.
He's 17 overall. I don't think that's the answer either, but a good first round pick.
With Mike Compton for the shotgun snaps as well, though, and he
was he? Okay,
yeah, he got kicked over to the guard.
Okay, forget it then. I just wanted to throw it out there. All right, so I think it comes down to probably between Drew Bledsoe and Ty Law. That's probably what it comes down to. Will Fork was a great pick. Seymour was a great pick. But just neither, based on the position they played, had the explosive visuals that some of those other guys like Law and Bledsoe obviously had. Bledsoe did help win that Super Bowl and took you to another. Law, so many great big memories, big plays in the history of this team, and was the first Hall of Famer off of a defense that, I guess, a team that won 3 Super Bowls while being known for their defense. So a lot to factor in there. That's where I stand on that. Brian in Wellesley has a name that we haven't mentioned. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Mark. Thanks for the call. Nobody said Mike Haynes.
Okay, that's a good one. And hand up, I blew that one.
He was a Super Bowl champ, Defensive Rookie of the Year, 2-time All-Pro, All-Decade Team, Anniversary Teams. Great player.
Well said. And Mike, he needs to be on the list. Mike Haynes. Thank you for the perspective. Brian dropping knowledge because I didn't go back. I guess I just missed it. Is that the guy Maz fawned over? I can't remember if it was Mike Haynes or somebody else that he loved. But 100th, 75th anniversary team for the NFL, all 80s team.
Jersey retired.
He was a first team All-Pro, second team All-Pro, 8 All-Pros, 9-time Pro Bowler, won a Super Bowl with the Raiders. Yeah, you got to put him on there because he was that good. And if he did it he's on the Patriots, all these anniversary teams.
Shout out to the callers, particularly the old timers that
Patriots Hall of Fame.
Yeah, me and Dondero in our early 40s. Just missed the pre-80s and beyond there. So I appreciate. No,
the Patriots started for me when Bledsoe got here. That's what I don't remember anything before Drew Bledsoe. So great, yeah, you have to put him on the list. 5th overall pick, he lived up to that for sure. So I still think it comes down to, I don't know if you want to put Hannah. I mean, he was so good. But to me, Bledsoe and Law, Super Bowl INT, Manning, so good in all those games. Helped lock down that whole first dynasty there. Okay. What did I do here with the time, George? What do you want me to do? I screwed it up.
No, you did perfect. I think we can squeeze in a call and then maybe go into the top 10 list that Twitter had over this week. That
we'll get into that because I have something in reference to that list that's probably going to surprise you. That I have to bring to the table there, and I have some changes to that one. Tom is in Lexington. Hey, Tom.
Yeah, I was going to give you Mike Haynes, but you're missing a couple of other guys.
Yeah, give it to me.
Stanley Morgan. Wide receiver, greatest wide receiver of all time for the Patriots.
Okay.
Then you get Ray Claiborne, who was an outstanding cornerback. And then for an entertaining player, maybe not the greatest, but he was very entertaining, was Russ Francis. And again, these are all old-time players.
Okay, was Stanley Morgan a first-round pick?
He was.
Okay.
Stanley was the 25th pick, actually.
Okay, correct. Good stuff.
Yep, there he is. Okay. Yeah.
Look at his career numbers.
Good stuff. Yep, another guy that he's on every All-Patriots team there ever was.
And phenomenal.
Later in the first round, too. So
and again, Ray Claiborne, cornerback, but he was outstanding in his time, too. It was the year before Morgan, I think.
Okay. Great perspective.
Look up Russ Francis, because Russ Francis used to put curses. He was a guy from Hawaii, tight end. He used to put curses on the other teams before they played him in the playoffs. It was a ride. They never won, but he always put a curse on them anyway.
All right. Well, thanks for the perspective, Tom. And I just think Tom said it. Not that I don't have the respect for the guys that came before my time, but they never won. So it's hard for me, George, to put up, I can't put a guy that never won against Ty Law, who's in the Hall of Fame, and say that was the best first-round pick, unless it's Drew Bledsoe and you were directly responsible for kind of turning around the entire organization. Not directly and solely responsible, but, you were the quarterback that was there at the foundation, and then you were at the ground floor of the Patriot way that went into, carried on for another decade after you were gone. That whole Patriot way thing, whatever it was, I know people get turned off by that phrasing. Whatever that was, carried on for almost another decade. I would say until at least the Brady injury, the Patriot way, Brewski, Harrison, that whole group, that core was the Patriot way, and it started with Drew Bledsoe, and it led to 3 championships and an undefeated season. So, Bledsoe, Law, I'll have a decision by the end of the show. We're going to get a headlines. When we get back, we're going to look at that list, and one surprise that I would put on that list that was not there of top 10 Boston athletes of all time. Mark Dondero, 98.5, The Sports Hub.
From the Town Fair Tire Studio, the game is on the Sports Hub.
Goes to the backhand and score! Two-hand slam!
Boston's home for sports. I love this team. 98.5, The Sports Hub, a Beasley Media Group station. East Essential Sports Hub headline presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox Rays playing the rubber game of their series today. Currently, Red Sox, they're in the 5th inning. They're up 2-0 on a Wilyer Abreu 2-run home run. So Abreu, love this guy. He's just continuing to get it done. WBC into the regular season yesterday and now today again, helping Connerly early with a strong start here for Boston as the Sox are up. We'll keep you posted in that one. The Bruins coming off their big 6-3 win over the Wild on Saturday, set to visit the Columbus Blue Jackets this evening in Ohio. Ryan Johnson, Bob Beers will have the call right here on 98.5 The Sports Hub, starting with pregame at 4:30. Celtics, they have a big one on the road tonight against the surging Charlotte Hornets. That game will start, you can hear it to start on 105.7 WROR. Coverage during pregame, beginning at 5:30 with Graney and Max. They will then transition over to 98.5 The Sports Hub at the conclusion of the Bruins game. So there's your programming note on the Celtics. And the Final Four, hanging in the balance today in March Madness at the NCAA tournament, Michigan and Tennessee. The first one up, Michigan in total control, currently up 38-18, winding down the first half there. So Michigan looks like they're Final Four bound unless they blow a huge lead. And then that'll be followed up by the marquee event tonight, 5 o'clock, when UConn tips against Duke. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by DN Van Lines. Take the chance out of your move and make the sure bet with DN Van Lines, an approved mover of the Department of Defense. DNVanlines.com. I'm Mark Dondero for Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Next update around 4 o'clock.
Deep three, violent two-hand slam. Wow.
98.5 Sports Hub. Boston sports, yeah, we got that covered. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
All right, back here, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Big one for the Celtics tonight. Another big game for the Celtics tonight. We're going to get into something Celtics related here. I just wanted to touch on this top 10 Boston athletes list. If you didn't see the list, it was compiled online. I don't even care who put it out there, but this was the list from 10 to 1. Paul Pierce, starting at 10. Pedro Martinez, Carl Yastrzemski, Rob Gronkowski, David Ortiz, Bill Russell, Ted Williams, Larry Bird, Bobby Orr, Tom Brady. Okay? Obviously, Brady's number 1. That's not much of a debate to me. Some people might want to do that. I will not. Tom Brady's number 1. I would probably, personally, I'd flip Bird and Orr. I know Orr is probably the greatest hockey player of all time. I'd flip Bird and Orr. Bird, 3 championships. The last guy in NBA history to win 3 straight MVP awards. And then I put Bobby Orr third. I would also flip. I would put Bill Russell ahead of Ted Williams.
I'm baseball biased, so I'm actually bumping up Teddy Ballgame.
Bumping him up.
Yeah. I would keep Orr second just because of his defensive prowess. I mean, that's something that still sticks to this generation. If you think of offensive defensemen, and then I would
who are you talking about? Bobby Orr.
Bobby Orr. Yeah.
Okay.
So I keep 1 and 2 the same, and I actually put Teddy Ballgame as number 3 just because historically I love his numbers.
I'd put Bill Russell at 4. I'd put Ted Williams at 5. Again, got to win. I'm totally biased. I get it. So Williams didn't win. It's baseball. That's a tough thing. You can't just carry a team to a World Series. I understand that, but they didn't win.
He was just a war hero too.
Yep.
In between his triple crowns and stuff. He was amazing.
But I'm not putting him above Larry Bird. I'm just not going to do it.
I love Larry Bird too.
Yeah. So I'd have Russell 4, Williams 5. I'll put David Ortiz. I'm fine at 6. Rob Gronkowski, I'm fine at 7. Carl Yastrzemski, again.
Byproduct of the old timers, for sure.
Out. Goodbye.
He's probably something
Taking him out.
That can bump.
You know who I would put in there at number 8? I'd move Pedro Martinez to 8. Just because of the importance, where the Red Sox were when he arrived, they were still that struggling 90s little brother.
His peak is only Bob Gibson and Pedro, I would say.
Well, I would say, so I've made this statement before. At his peak,
No. And then the steroid era on top of it.
I don't think anybody threw a ball better at his peak than Pedro Martinez, and that includes Tom Brady.
It was a spectacle every 5 days at Fenway. I tell you, anytime that Martinez took that ball,
between 98 and 2001, roughly,
right?
He was as box office as good, as dominant as you will ever see.
I take it all the way to even 03.
Yeah,
yes.
And 03, sure.
Yeah.
So I would put Pedro at 8. Okay, now this is where it gets interesting. You know who I'd put at number 9?
What do you got?
Manny Ramirez. Okay. Now, I understand steroids, controversy, Manny being Manny. I don't care.
Would you retire 24?
Yes, I would. 100%.
And for Ramirez, not Dewey Evans?
Yes, I would. I would retire that number for Manny Ramirez, for sure.
I would too.
He was the best right-handed hitter I've ever seen.
Best swing.
Him and maybe Albert Pujols.
Command of the strike zone, though.
And never was a head case. This is where that Manny being Manny thing benefited him. He never got in his own head. He made too much out of a situation. He was clutch. He was nasty. He raked. He did it in the postseason. He did it in the regular season. He did it when he was in a slump. He still got hits. He was awesome. And they won, George, when he was here. They won.
And right away, he was impactful.
That's right. He killed the Yankees. He didn't buy into the curse or any of that. He was awesome. Did it at every moment you could ask for. They won when Manny was here. I would put it. And he was Hall of Fame. I don't care about the steroids. One of the greatest hitters of all time.
And one of the few free agent signings that you could say, no, that one was a hit. For long, big money contracts that seldom hit, Manny Ramirez, that's the one you cannot.
You want to talk about Ted Williams? I don't give a crap. Okay, he's obviously he's better. He's better,
right?
But
I love Ted Williams.
Manny Ramirez, whatever hitter's house they lived in, he's in that house. He's not in the suite that Ted Williams might sleep in, but Manny Ramirez is in that house. He was in that ballpark for being a gifted hitter as Ted Williams. I have him as 9 on the list.
Where are you leaving Pierce there, or is there somebody else that you have in mind? I do love Pierce for his time.
I love Paul Pierce. I wrote an essay on Paul Pierce. I love Paul Pierce. But you know who's 10 for me?
Is it going to be a current player?
Jaylen Brown.
Oof, nice. You went JB.
I just they've never been bad, and I understand there was Irving. They've had a lot of guys, a lot of help, and I love Jason Tatum. But I'm sorry. What Jaylen Brown has done this year sort of solidifies it for me. And I think we really need to start the conversation. I can't give it to Tatum, even though he's got the first team All-NBA. Pierce never made first team All-NBA.
It's true.
I'm talking about Jaylen Brown, and I just think I can't get stuck in nostalgia. I love Paul Pierce. Was he probably more of a dog in the moments against LeBron? Maybe.
Would you still say JB if JT wasn't hurt to start the year?
Well, I think what he did this year sort of solidified what he's capable of. And then you factor in Eastern Conference Finals MVP, some of the things he did against the Pacers, hitting that shot, what he did against the Mavericks, winning Finals MVP, kind of carrying them. Some of the other things he's done throughout his career. I just feel like accomplishment-wise, and now he's sort of leading the team. He's been here a decade.
It's an interesting dynamic. To call that out right now, too, that it's great. I commend you for it. Just talent-wise, and I would say numbers-wise, too, I think Tatum is just already even a year behind. Brown still has him numbers-wise. So I'm not willing to go there, but Jaylen Brown has definitely, he's impressed. And I hope that they can stick together. Sadly, I don't know that, and that's for the future. So I don't want to cross that and get them in trouble first. Them separating.
Don't get anyone in trouble.
So the one person I would put into the top 7 here, I'll probably bump Gronk out of it. It's Roger Clemens.
And we have sound from Roger Clemens talking about this list. Can we play that? Let's hear that now, because that is a name that needs to be discussed.
All right, here we go.
So do you think you belong in that list of great Boston athletes?
Well, first of all, I don't do all that. My son does all that for me, but he calls and tells me, he said, Dad, this is what's going on, so you put that in there. So I thought it was perfect. Yeah, it's perfect.
So you believe you should be on that list?
100%. I mean, that's not even a question.
Anyone you take off that list to put you on?
I didn't even see the list, to be honest with you. I have no idea.
Yeah, so I can make the argument.
You could absolutely make the argument.
He just the two bookend 20 strikeout games. He did it twice. The one that we can remember against Seattle.
He went to the World Series in '86, right? What were his numbers there? I don't remember what the numbers were.
Yeah, a stud through and through.
Yeah,
I can pull him up to be sure. But I think Gronk, as him being the greatest tight end of all time, I just think tight end, kind of flash in the pan. You don't really.
Well, let me ask you this:
there.
If you're going to take someone off, right? If you're going to give serious consideration to Roger Clemens, right? That's what we're doing here.
Yeah, I would take Gronk or Yaz off.
Would you take Ortiz off?
No. Ortiz, just because of the delivering of the championships and the clutch moments are just numerous.
Okay.
So I can go back to example for Ortiz. So I definitely, for the memories, I'm not going to take Ortiz out. And plus, he had command of the strike zone by the end of his career. He's one of those that could walk out on top. He had the whole retirement tour, but I thought that he still had something left in the tank. That's kind of how you want to walk out. I could make the argument against Yaz. It's before my time. He had the Triple Crown, before Miggy Cabrera and stuff finally, got to the last one.
Yeah.
But just before my time, obviously didn't win anything.
I mean, he was a friggin' 18-time All-Star.
Yeah,
AL MVP.
Yes, to be sure. This is why I would have bumped Gronk, to be sure. I would have just said Gronk. Pedro, I agree with having on the list, and then Pierce, I agree with having on the list. My personal bias. My favorite Celtic growing up.
I love Pierce.
He makes me love Kansas, so I pick Kansas every year for the tournament. I thought him being drafted at number 10 was also a steal. So even at that 98 draft time, just being a little bit familiar with college sports and him lasting there to be that 10th pick, I knew we were in for a stud, and he made the rest of the league pay for a while.
I mean, Yaz in 67. You can't have the Triple Crown, the AL MVP. He won a Gold Glove. That's as good of a year as you'll ever have in any sport ever. But I can't put him on the list just because of that. Now, they went to the World Series that year. Is that right? And they didn't win? I don't know. So, a magical summer, whatever.
And callers and the YouTube chat, feel free to chime in. It just had read from somebody, Ray Bork. That's a great one.
That's the one that should be considered.
Yes, I would say definitely, and considering the longevity as well. He's one of those fringe guys. I would say debatable 6 through 10, all the way up in the air. It's kind of a rock solid top 5 for this.
But here's the thing, George. Okay, Tom Brady, Bobby Orr, Larry Bird, Ted Williams, Bill Russell.
It's the Mount Rushmore.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there. Okay, none of those guys can come off the list.
No, we could debate about the order.
Forget about the order.
Right.
Is there anybody else that just simply cannot come off the list? Like David Ortiz, you don't think can come off the list?
Yeah, so we'll include Ortiz.
All right, so Ortiz
top 6.
cannot come off the list. Okay.
Yes, so there's 4 spots up in the air.
So Gronk could come off the list.
Yes.
Okay, so
I would say so. Tight end is just such a novel position, to be sure. And they don't have the lifespan of other positions.
What about Pedro?
Pedro, I loved. I know he could have had a little bit more of a career in Boston, but that stretch from 98 all the way to when he left in 04,
you're just never gonna do it. The fact that he won to top it off in 04, he can't come off the list.
Right.
Now he can't come off the list.
He was just the best of the best.
You've got to figure. You have to factor in again. Now, if we're talking about the 80s, when was Clemens drafted? Early 80s?
Yeah, I want to say 84,
okay.
83.
I don't remember the Red Sox where they were at that point. I know where the Red Sox were in 1998. They were close, but no cigar. They never had it. They could get to the playoffs on occasion.
That 97 team was a joke.
97 was a joke, but 95 went to the playoffs. 98, was that with Pedro when they won the wild card? Was that his first year here?
98 was Pedro's
So
first year.
they started making the 98, 99. They made the playoffs. They went to the LCS in 99. Okay, so then to top off all of those years of dominance with a World Series championship and what he did in Game 3 of that series, you can't take him off, George, with what he meant to the Red Sox.
So right.
And by the way,
we have a top 7 to be sure. Right. We only have 3 spots.
Here's the other thing, too. I feel like Pedro Martinez was a huge factor in getting some of these Latin players, Manny Ramirez, to come to Boston. Didn't he have a hand in getting David Ortiz here? Wasn't he on the phone with Ortiz or something like that?
I love going back to those documentaries, right? Go ahead and take a look at this David Ortiz fellow that Minnesota just released. Yes,
that's right. So when you factor that in,
he's an ambassador.
That's huge. He can't come off the list.
I would say, and it's easy to just chop it at 6 and then leave the rest debatable. He had the short spurt for Boston, that 98 to 04. So, 6-7 seasons with the Red Sox. That's where you can say, oh, well, then KG, does he deserve to be on the list? So it's like,
no, he wasn't here long enough.
Was he always a Red Sox, or was he dominant enough as a Red Sox? I would say he had his prime of prime on the Red Sox, and my bias won't let Pedro go off the list. But I would understand the debate or the argument to leave him off the list if you're going to bump up somebody like a Ray Bork.
See, I don't know who Ray Bork takes off the list.
For me, I'm taking Gronk or Yaz as my definitely the two ones that I can play around with. So I probably would bump Clemens and Bork up into the list at the expense of Gronk and Yaz, I would say.
Okay.
Me personally.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Gronk, the longevity. He missed one of the Super Bowls that they still won. So he has the 3 rings, but he only was there for 2.
I know if the 11th Super Bowl, if we would have just won in 2011.
Yeah. He was hurt. So interesting. It's an interesting conversation.
Yeah, no.
But I do think the Jaylen Brown one, we need to start. I'm talking to myself here. He is starting to enter that category. I mean, we're talking about an all-time great, and I think he might be passing Pierce right now, depending on what happens with his MVP.
I would say neither of them, to be sure. It would just because Pierce had the longevity, but they're getting close. But I also have Tatum over Brown. That's where we'll agree to disagree.
No. But again, is Jason Tatum a better player? Yes. But when you factor in the level of play, the talent, and the resume, I feel like I've got to give it to...
It's hard to put in an active player on these lists against these giants, to be sure, right? These guys are juggernauts.
I mean, for crying out loud, Tatum still has 2 gold medals, a championship. He's been the first team All-NBA. You could put him on there.
Celtics have been kind of on a heater of late.
But again, biased against the postseason production. When you're Finals MVP and Eastern Conference Finals MVP, that's got to be factored in. 617-779-0985. We'll get what else do you have here? Oh, I just wanted to discuss for a second the Tiger Woods thing, George. We'll get to that. But before we do, let's finish off this Celtic while we're kind of on the Celtics, and Stephen A. had something to say about the Celtics. We'll chime in on that before a big one tonight in Charlotte. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports, 98.5 The Sports.
to go through in the Eastern Conference. And they believe they're the best team in the NBA and they can beat anybody. And as we sit here this morning, we're in no position to deny and refute that claim. Because right now, the Boston Celtics look like a team that can win the championship. We just got to keep it a buck and call it like we see it. Who can't they beat? Who can't they compete with?
Well, the answer to that last question is no one. They can compete with anyone. There's no one they can't beat. Now, if you're talking about a 7-game series, obviously, some matchups are more difficult than others. Here's the question that I had. 617-779-0985. Is this Celtics team more or less of a question mark than what we saw from the Patriots this fall? Because I think they're more of a question mark than what we saw from the Patriots this fall.
What's the pause for concern when it comes to the Celtics?
Well, I think it's predominantly the way that they've played and their identity the last few years with JT, JB, and Joe Mazzulla leading the way, and how they've had issues trying to transition from their style of run and gun and three-pointers to the lockdown half-court offense that they have to execute when a tight, close game is on the line. And I just don't think they're good enough in that type of situation. And I haven't seen much to tell me that they've gotten better in that type of scenario. And I also have concerns, Joe, I did it again.
It's okay. My first, George with a J, so those first two letters,
I've got the, but it's because I was texting Joey.
Shout out to Joe.
Shut up. I also have questions, George, about the identity. With Tatum still, working his way back and Jaylen Brown having led the charge all year long. How do they want to play? Who's the ball going to be running? Who's the offense running through? Is there some indecision there? Does Joe Mazzulla have what it takes to manage that appropriately? And I just don't know, with so little time left in the regular season, if they're going to be where they need. Now, they could be. I'll be very interested to see how this all plays out. I loved what I saw on Wednesday night against OKC or whatever night that was.
Yes.
That was a great signature win for them. They haven't had a lot of those this year. They've lost to a lot of the top teams, understandably, without Jason Tatum. A lot of the top teams in the West. But I do think that this team is more of a question mark than the Patriots. And I know everybody questioned the Patriots because of the schedule. And they were sort of, well, I'll say they didn't do themselves any favors based on what they did in the Super Bowl.
And I don't disagree with most of those points, but to play devil's advocate, do you think that the Patriots are closer to a Super Bowl than the Celtics are to an NBA championship?
No, because I think the Celtics have the horses. The question is this year, do the Celtics have what it takes this year to win at the highest level, win the championship based on not having Tatum all year, not having Tatum at 100%, the identity concerns with Brown being your leader all year, and now they're trying to work Tatum in.
That's where my apprehension would be too. Is the dynamic? And to your point, we already don't trust them down the stretch, and now insert Tatum here. 3/4 of the way done the regular season. How are we going to look down the stretch? Do we still have any of these moments or confidence at the end of the game? What they are going to do? I don't know. The last example of that, it didn't seem like it was. Let's see what game that was.
I'm not
the Minnesota game.
Yeah. I'm not calling the Celtics frauds. I'm not using that word. I'm not going there. I'm just saying I do think there are more question marks this year with them based on Tatum being unavailable. Now he's back. Brown was the leader. The way it ended last year, George, in the playoffs against the Knicks.
Fireable offense.
No reason for it to end that way. That was not good.
Are they at least trending in the right direction?
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
I love
especially this week.
I love how they've incorporated some of the guys that didn't have a lot of experience into the mix this year.
Right.
And now they do have more experience. I think their rotation is formidable. Obviously, just based on their experience, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Peyton Pritchard, they can compete with anyone.
Exactly.
In the East, at least. Nobody's going to overwhelm them. They've all been around the block. I'm not worried about that. I just think based on we've all kind of just fallen into, I don't want to say we've all, I'm going to speak
Especially
for
this
myself.
last week, right?
You
with
just don't
OKC
want
win.
to fall into the, hey, they've been this good. Now they're getting Tatum back. I don't think it's that simple.
Right. Especially with the dynamic of him acquiescing to Jaylen Brown, which seems to, I think that's going to be the play. If they could take turns in this, then great. I think Tatum is going to have to demonstrate that down the stretch, he's turned back into the Jason Tatum of old. Not to say that he was ever clutch in these tight games, to be sure, but some of the Celtics have stepped it up all the way. The experience this year that Jordan Walsh and Baylor Shireman, both positive, steps forward. I would even throw Sam Hauser in that mix.
Sure.
He's been a pleasant surprise. And then I think Derek White and Peyton Pritchard have stepped up with the absence of Drew Holiday in that backcourt. I think it's been all hands on deck. I commend Missoula for the job this year. I think the East is down, especially without Cade Cunningham. We'll see how that works out down the stretch for the Pistons. But of late, I think it's a recency bias. But yeah, the way that they played the last couple weeks, winning 6 of the last 7, has a good look and has everybody kind of high on the Celtics. There are some holes, though, to be sure, and some question marks that they need to answer down the line. But the East, I think, is wide open. I think, at least for the conference itself, it's setting up to be, like the Celtics to lose, especially if they play to their capability. The question will be then ultimately, who do we see in the West? But, we have to take things one step at a time.
It's going to be fun.
Should be fun. I do think that they are close, though. I think that they are the closest team out of the 4
Yes.
core
and they've won
the
it.
championship.
They've won it. The Patriots need another draft. I'm still not convinced that they're going to be able to do what they need to do in the draft to get to where they hope to get back to.
Yeah, and 26 is going to be a tough year for the Patriots for sure.
It is, but I'm looking forward to that challenge. I think they should look forward to that challenge.
Right.
I just don't know. Again, on paper, it looks really good for the Celtics. How can you not like kind of what you're looking at and the prospects of what they could do this spring on paper based on Tatum coming back on top of what they've already accomplished? I just don't think it's that simple. They had question marks that they were going to have to answer regardless of Jason Tatum if he had been here all year. Right. They had to answer these questions come playoff time. That would have been more difficult enough. Now he comes back. Brown's led the way. How's their identity? Are they going to be in sync the way they need to be? All those additional questions are now on the table.
Speaking of concerns, do you have any injury concern with Jaylen Brown?
Yeah. I mean, I'm terrified of the Achilles word in a basketball sense. Yeah. So to have tendonitis, calf tendonitis, all those things make me nervous. I felt a little bit better after listening to Joe Mazzulla. Straight day to day, it's no problem. But I don't like to hear that anything is tender down there. So especially after what Tatum did. So, yeah, I would just rest him. I would keep him out, rest him, make sure he's 100%, no issues, no symptoms, no soreness or anything before I put him back in there for sure. But I think it will be a chance for the Celtics to kind of get back to the finals and reestablish their presence among the teams. I mean, if you could get to the finals this year, and what a lot of people were saying was going to be a gap year, a year where you had to, wait till next year and build it back up, that would be an incredible accomplishment. And we just saw what they did to OKC. Why can't you do that twice in a row? Figure out a way to get past a team like that. And with as much as I love OKC and I don't love them, but I love kind of what they do. If you can find a way to make SGA look a little human, it feels like a different team, doesn't it?
Oh, big time.
And I know Williams is really good and they've got a great defensive mindset and all those things. But I don't know. SGA feels like the guy that if you can kind of slow him down.
I would say that that's their team for sure. They definitely go where SGA goes. If you could limit those free throws, and because he does foul bait, I think that the league has changed a little bit on how they are looking for these fouls and the flops. To be sure, now that Jaylen Brown has been so outspoken on the referees, I think that's something to look out for. And all of a sudden, Jaylen Brown is going to the free throw line. I don't think he's changing his game as well either. I think he's just still continuing to go to the hole. He's playing the game the right way. I think we can hit on a little bit more concerns. I am a little bit distracted because what happened a little earlier in the Sox game.
Yeah, it was disappointing.
They just pulled early, and then this is what we get. So
Eugenio Suarez with a 3-run homer. All right, we will be back. I want to make one amendment to the list. There was something that was brought up that has to be addressed because I made a mistake to the top 10 Boston athletes of all time list. I think there's another name that needs to be on there, and we're going to put them on when we get back. Mark Dondero here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports, 98. best in sports. We're fans just like you. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Back here, 98.5 The Sports Hub, Mark Dondero. I made a mistake. I put Jaylen Brown or Paul Pierce at the end of the list, top 10 Boston athletes. I can't believe I need to put John Havlicek on that list over those guys.
Shout out to the callers yelling at me as I screen these calls.
13-time All-Star Finals MVP, 8-time champion. I blew that one. Great score.
Still the leading one in all-time franchise history, yes.
All-time franchise leading score for the Celtics, 26,395 points. John Havlicek has to be on that list. Never got tired. So I blew that one. So put him on the list. Just wanted to talk for a second about Tiger Woods. Extremely sad and disappointing outcome. Obviously, the other day with him being charged with a DUI, and you know the story. He rolled over another car, driving under the influence, not alcohol, but medication or whatever it was. It is sad. I'm not going to cry like some people. I don't understand that, but it is sad to see. I don't understand, though. Tiger Woods has meant the world to the game of golf. But these over-emotional reactions and just the reaction to Tiger Woods in general, I still feel like is awkward. Let's be honest. It's been 20 years since he really dominated. 20. Okay? No athlete. No other athlete, and I understand that golf is a little different. Guys can hang around longer. No other athlete who was dominant 20 years ago elicits the emotional reaction of Tiger Woods 20 years later. Michael Jordan, pick whoever you want. Nobody gets emotional about any of these guys. Nobody protects the legacy of any other athlete like they do Tiger Woods, and I just don't understand. Maybe it's more of a statement or an indictment on the game of golf in general. How badly the sport needs the next Tiger Woods. And they just don't have it. I mean, Scotty Scheffler is the closest thing we've seen from a productivity standpoint, but he is certainly not Tiger Woods when you factor everything. I mean, Tiger Woods in his prime, and this is honestly one of the biggest regrets of my life. I didn't really get into golf until I graduated college, which was around 2008. I stopped playing baseball, got into golf, needed an outlet for that competitive drive or whatever you want to call it. Started playing golf, got more into golf, and that was really at the end. I mean, the only real Tiger Woods event that I remember watching live from his heyday, where I was all in, fully invested, was that U.S. Open at Torrey Pines against Rocco Mediate when he won in the playoff with the bum leg. All the other greatness, the Tigers, all those other things from 25 years ago, 26 years ago, I don't really remember. I wasn't into golf the way I am now then. So I regret that. I wish I was engaged during the Tiger Woods era with golf like I am now. And there's people younger than me who get emotional every time he steps on a crack. I mean, I don't get that. I don't understand why people are so heavily attached to what he did 27 to 25 years ago. Doesn't make sense to me. He was unlike, in golf, he was a hybrid of Michael Jordan and Bo Jackson, which is completely
young phenom.
I mean, he was
best.
Not only did he dominate physically and mentally like Jordan did and won all the championships, he was a physical marvel in golf the way Bo Jackson was in football or baseball, where he could just, the shots, the length, the things physically he could do were just unprecedented. So I understand that. But I mean, are we really going to shed tears because he's had some? I mean, it's what sets Tiger Woods apart in a bad way from Michael Jordan and Tom Brady, because those three, when you talk about the GOATs, you know, I think there's four on the Mount Rushmore. If you're talking about the absolute GOAT of GOATs, I think it's Tom Brady, it's Tiger Woods, it's Michael Jordan, it's Serena Williams. But if we're talking from a men's perspective, I think the difference between Brady, Jordan, and Tiger was their parenting. Who parented them and how they parented them. I think Tom Brady and Michael Jordan had better parents. Simple as that. You know, Tiger Woods' parents did good things in terms of preparing him to be a killer on the golf course. Obviously, that worked. But in terms of being an upstanding, more human being, I don't know how good of an example. I don't know if they prioritized some of the things that needed to be prioritized. Obviously, the dad wasn't a good example. Not that I know everything about the Bradys, Tom Brady's parents, or the Jordans, Michael Jordan's parents. But based on what I've read, what I've heard about, what I've experienced it feels like they were more productive parents than what Tiger Woods had. The dad, especially, I've read every book on Tiger Woods. His dad was not a good man. And they messed him up. And I think that played a role in his adult life. I think that played a role in his inability to pass Jack Nicklaus, and it's a damn shame. But I just don't understand the over-emotional response. I hate seeing something like that happen. I'm not trying to be insensitive. It's devastating. The man he's got kids, he's got children. I don't want to see something like that happen to him, obviously. And I'm a huge Tiger Woods golf fan, too. I loved what he did to the game. I love watching his highlights. I loved watching him when I did watch him back in the day, and even after his years of dominance, the 2019 match, all those things. But, I mean, he was a really lousy husband. Not that factors into his golf. He's made this mistake now multiple times. He was kind of a jerk to everybody during his reign of dominance on the PGA Tour. Nobody really liked him. I don't understand why we're getting overly emotional because something bad that he caused happened to him. I hate to see it. For people in his inner circle, for people around him that he put at risk. Obviously, that's devastating. But, I mean, this isn't the best guy I've ever,
should be able to get a driver at this point. And
you would think he'd have a driver at this point.
Right.
Somebody that could drive his ass around. I don't get that. And it's really sad. I don't think, for the record, George, that they should... I read somebody say he should be disqualified from ever being a Ryder Cup captain. I don't agree with that. Obviously, this man is dealing with some demons, dealing with an addiction, whatever it is. I don't want to speculate, and needs help. He should get help. Like I said, I think he was put in a tough spot by his parents, even though they did train him to become the killer that he became. I don't know if they prepared him for some of the things, some of the parts of life that a young man should be trained for. The way his dad treated his mom, the way his mom had him treat other people. I mean, go back to his high school girlfriend and the way they made him end that relationship. That was ugly. That was not real. That was, a bad example for how things should go down. It was just a lot of things that they did that were golf focused, but not necessarily where you wanted to be in terms of raising a child. So it was just awkward to see some people react that way. And I'm just as, bummed out as anybody. That's an awful thing to see. You don't want this man to be putting his life at risk because he can't control whatever medications he's taking or whatever it is. But Tiger Woods hasn't been relevant in golf for years now. I think 2019 was his perfect swan song, and we need to move on. He is not relevant in golf not even close to the way he used to be, and we can't keep living this life like we want it to come back. He's not coming back. Okay, it's over. He's done.
It's tough. Like, going back to the turn of the aughts, you would have thought it was a sure thing for him to get those three majors to tie, and then the fourth one to get to number 19. And
George, he blew it.
Yeah.
He's his own. He is the reason. He was the best golfer to ever live. He was better than Jack Nicklaus. I mean, he should have still been playing at a high enough level where in 2016, I saw, I mean, just a few days ago, he was gawking at Matthew Tkachuk's gold medal. He brought it to the TGL event. He's looking at it. Wow, this is cool. He should have been there in 2016 in Brazil. And he should have been playing for the gold. He was long gone at that point, even though he did win the Masters. He ruined his 30s, George, with the military, this infatuation with military training. He was complicit in the downfall of his body, and it's devastating because, and I also wonder, I worry, not even wonder, I worry that he set a bad example for the golfers of today. And prioritizing all this weightlifting and all this crap. Like, I don't think you need that as a golfer. I'm not saying never touch a weight, but guys prioritizing all this strength training and trying to become jacked, I just don't know if that's the best thing for a pro golfer. And it helped accelerate Tiger's downfall. If I'm Rory McIlroy, I'm taking a long, hard look at what I need to be doing. I just don't know if weight training is key to being a top-level golfer. I'm taking a call. Can I go to 55 or not, George? Is that going to screw us up? Okay. I'm taking Dan's call in Cranston. Hey, Dan.
Of course you are.
What's up?
Why would you?
Of course.
How you doing? All right. First of all, it could go. He's a transcending athlete, like goes beyond golf. So that's why people are infatuated with him, for one, like Muhammad Ali, probably.
Sure.
Two, and this is more important, you have to be deep in it like you and I are to understand how much his father is a percentage of where he's at in life right now.
Sure.
How much of a womanizing douchebag that guy was. Like, literally one of the most scummiest people that ever walked the face of the earth. Literally.
Correct.
Outside of being a rapist, although he probably could have been based, I don't know, it was an HBO special in the trailers. You remember that one? That was classic stuff. So anyways, here's the thing about Woods. I don't think I need to speculate to say he's a junkie right now. He's hooked.
Yeah,
he's a
seems
junkie.
That way.
Well, it seems like, how many times do you think over the past 10 years he's actually got behind the wheel of a car, hooked out like he gets away with it?
I don't want to know.
Driver.
Yeah.
But you think it's 3?
No,
that he's got
no. You're right.
It's probably like 3,000. And this guy, and all the surgeries and the prescriptions that you can get that he has access to, it makes my mind, it's mind-blowing to me. I'm watching Brandel friggin' Chambly saying innocent till proven guilty, and all these people are saying, is he going to play the Masters in 2 weeks? This guy needs to be in serious rehab like yesterday.
Yes.
And like the only reason that he's still walking around right now is because someone else wasn't in the wrong place at the wrong time where he could have killed someone and he would be in jail, or he would have killed himself. He's on a path to, if I had a celebrity death pool, he'd be in my top 2 or 3 right now, hands down, unless he gets help. I don't think I'm overstating that hyperbole. I really think this guy is living a dark life that people just don't want to talk about, especially in the golf world. But if you know his background, you know what I mean? He's in a bad spot right now, and I feel bad for him because he's his own worst enemy to some extent. But like you said, he's had a tortured life for all the success that he's had. And I think it's coming home to roost right now. Yeah. That's it, my man.
All right,
Have a
good
good day.
to talk to you, Danny. It is sad, and it is amazing how some of these guys with all the success and the dominance and everything, they can find themselves so lost when it's all over. And Dan brought it up, and I'll reiterate. I'm not going to go into the details and the things that his dad exposed him to is no joke. It was a bad situation between what he did on his own time with some of the women, the way he treated his wife, Tiger's mother. Really horrific example of a man. And that's not Tiger Woods' fault. That was his father's fault. And obviously that factors in. So it's a really tough situation. You hate to see it. But it is what it is, and I get it. He's a cultural icon and all this, but it's just it's really tough to see. Eddie wants to chime in on a Mount Rushmore. Eddie and Pepperell. Hey, Eddie.
Hey, what's up, man? How are you? First time, long time. I just had to. I had to call in.
Give it to me.
You put Serena Williams ahead of on Mount Rushmore ahead of Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, you could put Gretzky could go up there.
I think he was the first one up there.
Sure.
I think Tiger's the most dominant athlete ever. But, Gretzky's the top.
Okay, fair. That's fair. When you look at the stats of Wayne Gretzky, I always forget what it is off the top of my head, but isn't it something like you could have an entire career of the best player and he wouldn't come close to the points. Whatever it is, I forget how they categorize it, but he's got more points by 3 times as anybody else. It's crazy what Gretzky. You know, the only thing it's unfair, but I do hold it against Wayne Gretzky. Never got that Olympic gold medal, and I understand. I don't think that the NHL guys played in the Olympics. That was probably part of it, obviously. Then in '98 they lost in the shootout in Nagano. So that was a tough way to lose it. And he was at the end of he was an executive with the team in 2002 when they beat Team USA in the gold medal game. But he should be obviously considered for the list. You could put Wayne Gretzky, the great one, out there. Just based on I'm going to have to look up that stat. But
more assists than anybody has.
That's what it is.
Points.
That's what it is. More assists than total points of anybody else. Crazy. All right. David is in the car. Hey, David.
Hi, I just wanted to chime in on something about Tiger Woods the guy gets a lot of passes, not just on the drugs, but also performance-enhancing drugs. If you go look back when, I think the guy's name was Dr. Galea, I'm not saying his name right, but he was a Canadian doctor that was all involved in HGH and Balco, and the guy's doctor got popped. After that, his performance went down, and the guy just gets so many passes. I don't got anything personal against him, but it's just weird how baseball players get so much heat from, HGH and performance-enhancing drugs, and other athletes in other sports, it's just completely ignored.
Yeah, it's a good take. I just think part of it was the phenomenon that was Tiger Woods. There is literally nobody in any other sport. You could say somebody else approximates the greatest of all time, even Jordan. I think Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time, but you could make an argument for LeBron. Some of the things that Kobe did approximate what we saw from Michael Jordan. Nobody, even Jack Nicklaus, can approximate what Tiger Woods did in his prime. The physical giftedness, the shot making, the ability, the way he won tournaments, the improbable shots, the chip-ins, the things he would do. You couldn't believe your eyes. Now, Nicklaus had a few of them, but not even close to the level of Tiger, the dominance, the Tigers. It's just completely and utterly improbable and unprecedented. You can't come close. That's why. We're going to go to break here because we have to get a headlines. More on this when we get back, and any other thoughts, we'll get you going with the Bruins coming up as they get ready to face off against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Patriots, Bruins, the Celtics. WBCFM HD Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub. Beasley Media Group station celebrating 65 years of broadcasting. Sports Hub headlines presented by Celsius Energy Drinks.
Red Sox and Reds playing the rubber game of their series currently in the 8th inning. Sox now down 3-2 thanks to a Eugenio Suarez 3-run home run. Sox had been up 2-0 on a Wilyer Abreu 2-run homer, but have given the lead back and just had a guy picked off, it looks like. So they're in the 8th inning, 2 outs, nobody on, down 3-2. Keep you posted. Bruins coming off their big win last night, 6-3 over the Wild. They're getting set to visit the Columbus Blue Jackets in less than about an hour from now. We'll get you out there for pregame at 4:30. Ryan Johnson, Bob Beers will have the call right here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Celtics have a big one on the road tonight against the surging Charlotte Hornets. You can hear that game to start on 105.7 WROR. Coverage with Graney and Max will begin with pregame at 5:30. When the Bruins game ends, they will then transfer over to 98.5 The Sports Hub for the rest of that Celtics game. And in the Final Four, check that. Final Four on the line today in the Elite Eight. And currently, Tennessee is getting throttled by Michigan. Michigan is heading to the Final Four. That game will be followed by the marquee event at 5 o'clock when UConn tips against Duke. Sports Hub headlines. Brought to you by, bear with me, Valvoline. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com for 15% off your drive-through oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, the official oil change of busy people. I'm Mark Dondero for Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Actually coaching the game, or it's just that is. I feel so strongly about that. I can't even tell you.
Boston Talk Sports here.
What do we got?
The Sports Hub. The Bruins, the Celtics, the Patriots, the Sox, the Revs, and you. We're Boston's home for sports. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Back here, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Would have been nice to have Durant on base right now, right?
Very disappointing, George.
In limited pickoffs, you just can't get picked off.
I mean, I hope he was running. Because that's the only way that's even mildly excusable if he was going. Okay. Red Sox are threatening. We'll keep you posted. Let's go back. We still have some people on the line. Let's go to the phones. Scott is in Arizona. Hey, Scott.
Hello.
Hey.
What's going on, brother?
What's up?
Well, I have a problem with people calling Tiger Woods a junkie.
Sure.
I'm not a Tiger Woods fan. I obviously respect his dominance. He's a fantastic player, or was a fantastic player. But calling him a junkie is just not fair. Anyone that sustained the amount of injuries that he has is constantly dealing with chronic pain and prescribing himself, trying to get the cocktail right where you're not screwed up and you're not in pain. He got it wrong. He shouldn't be driving. But to call him a junkie, no, I don't think he's going out there trying to get high. He's just trying to get through life.
That's good perspective. Thanks for the call. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
I think the other call was rather strong. I had to hit the dump button, too, so the stream wins.
It's a hard thing to negotiate, obviously, and I would agree that it's probably not about getting a high, but if you're addicted to drugs, you're addicted to drugs, and it's just an unfortunate thing that I don't know if he's addicted. I mean, it just, how many times are you going to roll over a car under the influence? You know, you got to figure that out, and somebody's got to help him figure that out. And I don't know what type of people he has in his life. He's got a girlfriend. I don't know what he can lean on or who he can lean on, but you got to figure, you cannot keep putting yourself and people at risk. And it's just really sad that it's come to this, and that we're talking about this once again. Especially, not that this matters, But with the Masters looming, you don't want something. You want Tiger Woods a part of the match, even if he's not playing. You want him to be a part of it. You don't want this on the forefront of everybody's conversation regarding Tiger Woods as the Masters approaches. It's sad. Paul's in Framingham on the Mount Rushmore of GOATs. Hey, Paul.
Hey, how you doing over there?
What's up?
Just throwing out the name Rocky Marciano. You guys ever hear him?
Yeah, Brockton.
Yeah, no one's mentioned him over there.
Yeah,
undefeated guy over there. He should be on the top of the list over there. Never gets any mention. I agree with you guys like Bobby Orr, number one to me, hockey player in the world. Larry Bird, number one basketball player.
Okay, I see. So
Tom,
got it. You're talking about the top 10 Boston athlete list.
well, I mean, Rocky Marciano should be on top of the world. I mean, he's undefeated guy over there. He's more terrified than Tyson to me.
Okay. Fair enough. Another nice perspective from another guy that thought of somebody that we didn't have on the list. Thanks for the call, Paul. I'm not putting him on the GOAT list, the conversations of the greatest of all time. I just don't know enough about him. Obviously, he was undefeated. I don't know who he fought back then.
He beat Joe Louis.
He beat Joe Louis, okay. But I think that's a good point in terms of top 10 Boston athletes. I definitely think he should be in the conversation for that list.
Absolutely.
That's a good point. I'm not putting him ahead of Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson. I'm sorry. But, I mean, the resume is the resume. Fine. But if you're talking about Boston born and bred and whatever, people that were accomplished either from here or played here, having played here, I'm happy to entertain that conversation. I probably need a little help, but that's a name that you could put up there, sure. Yeah, Tiger, it's a tough thing to deal with, obviously. And a lot of it, again, wasn't his fault. He was set up for this type of difficult time as an adult. I don't think he was given the proper training as a child on how to manage being a human adult. I think he was trained on how to be a killer on the golf course, and it worked. But there were a lot of things that I don't think he got the guidance that he needed. And clearly his perspective was messed up. And it's a shame to see what's happened to him. I worry about all those guys. Not so much, not all those guys, but I worry about Tom Brady too. Not in the same way as Tiger Woods, obviously, with the issues that Woods has had. But what type of meaning does Tom Brady find in his life now? I don't know. Is he as fulfilled as he used to be? I hope he is. I don't know. Kai is in Haverhill. Hey, Kai.
Oh, yeah, hello?
What's up, Kai?
Hey, the other guy just called mentioning Rocky Marciano, and
yeah,
of course Marvin Hagler I think has to be considered. I mean, he was fought like in the golden age of boxing, middle eights. He had these epic fights. Thomas Hearns, he lost to Sugar Ray Leonard in a disputed title fight.
Was he a Brockton guy too, or no?
Yes, he was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right.
I mean that. Yep.
Put him up there. 67 fights, 62 wins, 52, but he won the U.S. championship. Sure. I don't think I'd put him up there next to with Marciano just because Marciano was undefeated. I didn't think I'd be debating Brockton boxing legends right now, but hey, I think Marciano deserves mention on the list. I don't know if I'd give it to Hagler, even though maybe he has a few more bigger, well-known wins. Okay. Here's a name. I wish this name didn't come up as late in the show, but this is a name, and let's go to Danny in Medford with the name. Hey, Danny.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on. Doug Flutie, one of the greatest Boston athletes of all time. Natick High, multi-sport, global, scholastic. Goes on to win the Heisman. Great career.
All right.
USFL.
Damn it. You know what, Danny? Thanks for that. That's a great call, Danny. And I'm going to Doug Flutie, George, needs to be on this list. I'm putting him on. Doug F. Flutie. Put him on. He's going on over Gronk. Doug Flutie.
Just made the list.
He's on over Gronk. Move everyone down. Put Flutie at 10. Gronk is out. Doug Flutie.
Excellent calls, too, by the way. Well thought put into these. But Flutie is a good and underrated one as well. I have my personal bias, for athletes who are vertically challenged, as is Doug Flutie, and definitely was an undersized quarterback, but what a long career.
Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, from college and then all the way through and through. His path from being a Patriots career early on and then the CFL, things he did there, to come back and then the Flutie Flakes and then the Bills.
He probably got screwed in the NFL by and large, too, just because of his height.
Correct.
He probably, if you put him in the right system, he probably could have been a damn good pro NFL quarterback for a lot of years.
He held the seat warm for Drew Brees there in San Diego at the Chargers. He was a
winner.
He was a winner. He was all caliber, to be sure.
And he was fun.
Kick
he was
over
fun
there
to watch.
In 05-06 or whenever that was a good way to cap off his career. But definitely a memorable player, Doug Flutie, as an athlete as well. And that's what we're talking about here in terms of athletes, which I can appreciate the Hagler and Marciano references because those boxers were world class. I mean, Hagler during that day of Leonard, Duran, Hearns, I'm missing there. That middleweight during that time, unmatched. The golden age of the 80s.
Yeah.
We'll just call it what it is there. I miss boxing, to be sure, of the 80s and 90s and the early 2000s. So, yeah, great calls. I really appreciate the call engagement on YouTube as well.
Okay. Thanks for everybody checking us out on YouTube. Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, he was such an athlete. He was so good. I feel bad. I don't know. I feel awkward taking off a guy like Pierce. I don't feel bad taking Pierce off for Havlicek. But taking Gronk off for Flutie is probably a little strong, but
yeah, just relatively speaking, right, Gronk is just the greatest tight end of all time. It's just kind of flash in the pan for me. That's where I can kind of make the argument people had just a little bit more longevity in doing it. You know, granted, you're greatest at your position, but yeah, there's plenty more to be there. And I think Rocket, he definitely deserved to be on the list. So to me, top 7, Rocket, Roger Clemens, for all he did. He was a stud right away. The 220 strikeout games. I mean, him in Toronto right away, though. He came to Fenway, stuck it right up Duquette and all ours, you know what. But then to win the Cy Young over Pedro that first year in 98. So he was incredible. And then obviously we want to forget about the Yankees and stuff like that. But
so let me ask you a quick question here, just as we got a couple minutes. What would have been more interesting? How long did Clemens play? I mean, he played 04. He was in the All-Star game playing for the Astros. Remember that? Manny Ramirez hit a home run off of him in the 04 All-Star game. What would have been more interesting, George? Let's say, because I think physically both of them could have done it, okay?
24 years.
Okay. Let's say, what would have been more interesting? The following 2 people never leaving and staying for 4 additional seasons, okay? Roger Clemens or Tom Brady? What would have been more interesting? Had Brady stayed through 2024 or had Roger Clemens stayed through 2001 and joined Pedro Martinez? Let's say Pedro Martinez still joined the Red Sox.
I love this, right? To do these hypotheticals and live it out. The Brady would have been interesting because I think the fallout would have been Belichick probably not coaching the team. Now, if we can assume that Belichick and Brady stayed together, then that would have just been unlimited success. Part of that, I would have to see who the successor to Belichick would have been at that time at the turn of this decade, and for 2020. Clemens, there's no doubt in my mind we would have been a lot better keeping him. That 97 rotation was just a joke. I'm happy that Duquette was able to get Pedro Martinez for Carl Pavano and Tony Armas. That was greatest trade of all time.
If you had gotten
Pedro, that trade probably doesn't happen though if Clemens stays.
Okay,
that's
what I'm wondering, because as they went forward, that trade might have happened. Schilling. They had Pedro. You get Schilling.
That splash still might have happened.
If you paired
there's no doubt
Pedro,
that the Clemens probably would have inhibited that Pedro trade for the 90.
Okay, maybe you're right, but if you had ever gotten both of them on the same team, that would have been interesting. It would
have been the best of all time.
That would have been interesting.
And Clemens to me doesn't have any fall off. He was just the man through and through. The 2 years in Toronto, he was a stud. He was a stud for New York. He went back and forth with Houston, then back to New York to retire. I think he had it all the way through his mid-40s. I think Roger Clemens, he redefined himself. Obviously, he could have been aided, whatever, here, artificial. I don't care. I'm not here for any of that crap. I think, yeah.
I mean, that was the era. That was what they did.
Exactly.
Whatever. I mean, he should be in the Hall of Fame. It's stupid, but it's just an interesting thought. And I mean, I'll take peak. I won't give those years back for anything. So I'm taking peak Pedro. So if you had to get rid of Roger Clemens to give me the peak Pedro years, I'm in.
Now, we're keeping the same rosters and same coaching staff, so there's no doubt that both of the teams would have ended up winning. Red Sox, though,
but
management situation would have mattered too. I like Jimmy Williams at the time. I don't know so much about Joe Kerrigan.
Can you imagine, though, Clemens, Pedro, Nomar, Manny, if you're talking about around 2000, I mean, that would have been a
had
thing.
Years, right? And they might have put an end to the Yankees dynasty of that time. Oh,
who knows? Who knows? All right. Bruins coming up. When we get back, we'll get a Bruins thought out there as well. Mark Dondero, 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Boston's home for sports. 98.5, the Sports. What game? It all happens here. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Bottom of the circle, cutting toward the slot. Puck came loose, back to Pete, coming in from the top of the circle, and he scores! Bruins jump into the lead. Just 61 seconds in, Andrew Peeke rings the post and in.
No, that one felt good. Great way to get the crowd going early, and that was a great screen to give me that little lane, and just took advantage of it.
All right, back here, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Bruins getting set, another big one. Trying to keep that momentum going against the Blue Jackets. What's interesting to me about the Bruins, and this is more of a macro conversation, but I'm just interested to see not only and obviously how they do in the playoffs, but where the bar is set as we go into the playoffs. And what I'm saying is, it was interesting when you look back at the Jim Montgomery years, what they were able to do in the regular season, what they weren't able to do in the playoffs, and then how they responded. By they, I mean the front office responded to their lack of prosperity in the playoffs. Where is the bar now? That's my question. Because obviously the team has, to an extent, overachieved this year. Nobody really knew what we were going to get. They end up having a good year. Jeremy Swayman has been excellent since the Olympics for the most part. And with that being the case, I guess it could be matchup dependent in the playoffs, but at what point are you raising that bar and saying, hey, if you don't produce, that's not good enough? Or is that going to be a part of the conversation for the Bruins? I don't know. It should be. Why aren't you holding Marco Sturm to the same standard that you held Jim Montgomery? They've had a great year. They've overachieved. Is that what's going to get the headlines at the end of the season, no matter how it ends? Or should there be expectations on the team in a playoff situation? That's what I'm wondering. That's the interesting part of this season for me. I still don't know if they have the horses. If I were them, I would bring up James Higgins. I would bring him into the mix and try to get any type of offensive spark you can, because I just don't think that they have the depth. They could get the goaltending. Goalies can get hot. Obviously, Swayman's been good. He could get hot. But I feel like they're going to need the scoring. They're going to need the offensive punch, and they don't have it yet. And they haven't had it for years. I think that's been what's held them back every year since 2011. They had just enough in 2011. They had Tim Thomas stand on their head, and that's been the conversation we've had ever since. How can they get back? What do they need to do to get back? And they haven't done it. I thought it was Tuukka Rask. That doesn't seem to be the case. Then as a result, I go back to who's going to put the puck in the net. Obviously, their second line has been otherworldly. But again, are we going to be able to rely on the second line playing above and beyond when it matters the most? I don't think you're going to be able to. To me, that's Sedan Rafaela dominating and trying to rely on that come postseason play. You need horses. And I don't know if they're going to get the horses. Obviously they can't make a move at this point, but you bring in a guy like Higgins, maybe he can offer some type of Chris Kreider-like spark for a playoff run that could give you something that could get you to a different round, and then who knows? That's all. But I'm interested to see how the front office judges this season at the end, because they have been harsh on coaches based on their performance in the postseason. And I understand there were other things at play with Jim Montgomery. People had feelings, and obviously with Bruce Cassidy, same thing. He hurt some feelings. People didn't like him. So is that the main thing? Is that the most important thing, that people are going to be really locked into how they react to Marco Sturm and how people, whether they like him or not, how the team likes playing for him, or is it going to be about postseason production? We'll have to see.
Any particular matchups that you're scared for the Bruins?
Yeah, Tampa. I mean,
Carolinas of the world.
Look, I'm scared of a team that's been there and done that and won it. Like, that's a team that I don't necessarily want to face. But I do think hockey does have an air of unpredictability to it, where if you do catch fire and a guy does start playing well, I don't think there's anybody that can't, you can find a way to beat any team. I mean, we saw that with the Bruins. What we didn't know at the time was when they lost that 3-1 lead to Florida, and maybe I should be giving them more credit, and they had the series on the stick of their best player or whatever when Brad Marchand had the breakaway. We didn't know that at the time Florida was going to be a budding dynasty. So you give them a little bit of a pass there. A little bit of a pass. They still should have won that series based on the year they had and the series lead that they had. But I'm just interested to see how this all plays out, because I feel like if it doesn't go well, we're going to go right back to where we were. And the probability is that this Bruins team is going to be what every Bruins team has been. The fact that they've overachieved this year adds a level of intrigue that I don't think anybody was ready for, and I'm embracing. I want to see what type of standard they're held to come postseason play. I don't care what the matchup is. But you got to love how they've responded. Tough loss a couple nights ago at home. Toronto comes in. You think that's going to be an easy win. They don't get it done. Now they go out and they beat Buffalo, and then they beat Minnesota, and they have a chance to keep it going on a back-to-back. So we'll see what happens. We're looking forward to the game. Always looking forward to the call. Bruins, Blue Jackets. Spring's going to be lit. And we're excited for this one tonight. George, as always, thanks, man. Always a pleasure. Good show. All right, let's get you to Columbus. Bruins, Blue Jackets. Ryan Johnson, Bob Beers, Mark Dondero, 98.5 The Sports Up.